November 1801. The candlelight flickers through the grand halls of the Chateau de Versailles. A somber procession marches forward, not for a funeral, but for a wedding. A priest stands solemnly before the altar. The bride is silent, veiled in black lace. Her hands tremble. And the groom? He lies in a casket, cold, robed in state regalia. There will be no vows, no kiss, only silence, broken by the haunting echo of a requiem mass. This is the story of a real wedding, where one of the partners have been dead for weeks. Welcome to the most twisted marriage in human history, when love, politics, and death collided in a ceremony that defied all reason. This is the tale of Marie-Thérèse Charlotte of France, the daughter of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, and the macabre political theater known as a posthumous wedding. But to understand why anyone would marry a corpse, we must go back to the heart of revolutionary France, a land drowning in blood, betrayal, and shattered crowns. The French Revolution changed everything. When Louis XVI was guillotined in 1793, followed closely by his wife, Marie Antoinette, the monarchy crumbled. But one member of the royal family remained, their daughter, Marie-Thérèse, known as Madame Royale. She was just 14 when her parents were murdered, and for the next 3 years, she was imprisoned in the Temple Tower, held in silence, darkness, and despair. She never saw her parents again. Her little brother, Louis Charles, the Dauphin, was separated from her and reportedly died of neglect and disease. By the time Marie-Thérèse was released at 17, she was no longer a child, but a living ghost of a dead dynasty. Her trauma was unimaginable. But in the ashes of that trauma, the wheels of politics began turning once more. Across Europe, royal families sympathized with her plight. Monarchs who had once feared revolution now saw Marie-Thérèse as a living symbol of survival, and they needed that symbol. So in exile, far from France, a plan emerged to restore the image of monarchy through a marriage. A royal wedding would show that the bloodline still lived, but Marie-Thérèse's heart was no longer in politics. She had loved once, deeply, and he was gone. His name was Louis-Antoine de Bourbon, the Duke of Angoulême, her cousin, her childhood companion, the only person who had shared her grief during those shattered years of the Revolution. They had been secretly betrothed. The wedding was planned for the following spring, but fate intervened. On a cold October morning, just weeks before their union, Louis-Antoine was ambushed by royalist enemies while traveling through the countryside. His carriage was stopped, his guards slaughtered. He was dragged out, beaten, and shot point blank in the chest. He died within minutes. His body was recovered days later, mutilated, barely recognizable, and brought to his family estate. The news devastated Marie-Thérèse. They said she didn't speak for 3 days. She locked herself in a black draped chamber and refused to eat. But then she emerged with a request, one that stunned the court. She wanted to marry him anyway. At first, the idea seemed impossible, unholy, even sacrilegious. But Marie-Thérèse argued it wasn't just love, it was duty. She claimed it was the final act of loyalty to the man she had lost and to the throne they both represented. The court reluctantly agreed, and so the preparations for the posthumous wedding began. France had no real precedent for such a thing, but the church did, from an ancient Roman Catholic tradition known as mariage posthume, where one could marry the dead under specific circumstances, typically if the couple had been officially engaged and the death occurred before the ceremony. But these were rare, almost mythical exceptions. This was a full royal wedding, planned with pomp, pageantry, and a corpse. On the day of the ceremony, the chapel was draped in black and violet silks. Thousands of lilies, the flower of death, covered the altar. Marie-Thérèse wore a dress of mourning. Her veil touched the floor. The groom was embalmed and dressed in ceremonial blue. His face was masked with a thin cloth as decomposition had set in. As the wedding began, the priest intoned the traditional rites. The congregation remained silent. Marie-Thérèse stood tall, answering each vow clearly. When the time came to exchange rings, the ring was placed on her finger and then gently laid on the corpse's folded hands. Witnesses said her voice never wavered, but her hand shook. At the end of the Mass, she kissed his forehead, cold, waxy and still, and whispered something that no one could hear. Then she walked away, a bride and a widow. The marriage was recorded officially by the church and recognized by the exiled royalist court. Marie-Thérèse never remarried. She wore black for the rest of her life, and though some called her mad, others saw her as the ultimate symbol of loyalty, a woman who defied death to honor the man she loved. But what's most haunting is not just the spectacle, it's the why behind it. Why did she do it? Perhaps it was love, twisted, undying love. But it was also about power, a symbolic act of political resurrection. In marrying the dead, Marie-Thérèse kept alive the legitimacy of a bloodline. She gave continuity to a dynasty that had been severed by the blade of the guillotine. In death, she made her groom a king in memory, if not in life. And yet, this story is not just about royalty. It's about the terrifying grip of grief. When love is ripped away too suddenly, too violently, the mind bends to fill the void. Some of us weep. Others build shrines. Marie-Thérèse staged a wedding. She married a corpse because she could not accept a world where they were never united. Even today, the story sends shivers down the spine. It reminds us how love and loss, when mixed with duty and trauma, can lead to the most unimaginable rituals. The chapel where they married still stands. The ring lies buried with the groom. And somewhere in history's shadows, a girl in black lace whispers vows to a man who will never answer. In the end, we are left with a haunting question. Was this the ultimate act of devotion? Or a tragedy too painful to comprehend? Because sometimes love doesn't just defy all logic, it defies death itself.
And death.